layered laser signs, mandala effects, really cool designs, and lots of possibilities out there for this type of laser art. So this video is going to be a tutorial walking you through the steps on how to make these, giving some tips and tricks how to be more efficient, how to save some money, ideas on different material types, lots more. Yes, this is a garage. This is a wood shop, a maker space. I am a woodworker. However, all of these projects can be done on a desktop laser run inside your home. There's air purifiers, options galore. So if you're new to lasers, don't let this daunt you. Super intuitive, super easy, pretty plug and play. So here you have it, layered laser art. So first up, you find your design. So you can find one, you can create one. I usually just go on Etsy, and I found all of the ones that you see in this video from Etsy. If you have another website you recommend, please leave a comment down below, a link so we can all learn where to find some other files. You can certainly design your own, and I've explored that a little bit with the software. It's really easy. Pretty intuitive, but there's some great programs out there, and great files already out there, and I just use those. I'm adding some double stick adhesive right now. I'll talk a lot more about this later in the video. I do have timestamps, so you can skip around to different sections if you want. But then you're just taking each sheet, each layer, put in the laser, run it, and after you've cut out all your layers, you can just remove that double stick adhesive, and it is that easy. It's that simple. So if you're new to lasers, using a laser cutter, it really can be that simple. There's a little bit more to it, but you can get a really cool look like this. Lots of other options. So here we go. What materials to use? All right, I want to talk about materials here. So plenty of options for what materials to use for your laser projects. But with these layered signs, these layered arts, especially something like this where it's 11 layers thick, you want to consider some different things, both for affordability, time efficiency. So easiest option is just basswood. So any laser you have is probably going to work with basswood, that 1/8 inch thick. Because you're doing so many layers, you want the thinner stuff, 3mm. And so this works great. And so you can just use basswood, you can cut it, you can sand it, you can stain it. You can paint it. So this one is stain and paint. This one is stain and paint as well. A little acrylic on the top. This one is mostly stain and paint. All those different layers. So this was basswood, basswood, basswood. It just saves some money, especially when you're doing that many layers. There is a little acrylic on the top of this one. One affordable option with that is just to get the thin acrylic. So it's got a protective layer on it. This is super thin black acrylic. And black acrylic can be cut on most machines. So this machine right here is a CO2 laser, the P2. It can cut all the different colored acrylics. However, the diode machines like the S1 I featured, or if you have a D1 or other diode machines, they can't cut all of the colors. I talk more about that in my acrylic video, acrylic laser projects. But this black one is so thin that most diode lasers could do it. It's a really classy look just to add a little black on the top. And I did that with quite a few pieces. So that's an option if you're looking at affordability for all these layers. Now, I'm a woodworker. I usually work with hardwoods, beautiful woods, making some cool cutting boards. Like, these are all the natural colors, and I'm just a sucker for the natural colors. There are a lot of different companies that sell different laser materials. I've purchased from quite a few, but xTool really has expanded their selection in the recent months. And so a lot of different options. Obviously, yes, I've received xTool products in exchange for these videos, but I really do believe them. They're affordable, competitive. They come in great boxes, extra packaging. Really high end. And so this particular one, let's get back to what I was talking about. These are all natural colors. None of this is stain. So we have some black walnut. There's maple, cherry, babinga, a beautiful hardwood, ebony, all kinds of different ones here. And so this is what they look like. They're really clean, really nice. They're unfinished. So afterwards you can add your finish after the fact, maybe a little sanding if you have some charring, but some really cool results. I love using these for signs and other projects. So I love the hardwoods. I'm kind of partial to those. However, if money is an issue for you, you can certainly stain basswood. And I have stained prior. to laser work. Just make sure it's fully dry, and I have stained after, so both work. And then of course the acrylic. So if you want to do these really cool effects, I love acrylic just because there's so many colors. There's cool glittery ones and options. You really do need a CO2 laser. What I love about this is you cut it, you put it together, you're done. There's no waiting for paint to dry. There's no getting the space all prepped. It's done. Usually there's no cleanup or even any charring whatsoever. So I really love acrylic. Some great options. So again, I do recommend just checking out xTool down below. They always have deals for materials as well as their machines, but some really, really great options as far as materials. So those are some considerations when deciding on your layers, some things to consider. All right, actually cutting using the laser cutter. So for each of these layers, it usually averaged around 10 to 15 minutes per layer. Obviously, there's a lot of variables there, how intricate the design is. Sometimes it would just be a couple minutes, but some of these did run a little bit longer. It also depends on which machine you're using. Right here, this is the xTool P2. It's a CO2 laser. This is my favorite laser. I use this for most of my projects because it can handle just about everything. As I mentioned earlier, it can cut the acrylic, it can cut all the colors. This is great for cutting thicker pieces. Obviously, for this project, you don't want to cut the super thick ones, but this was just some basswood. You can see how intricate that one was. Here's some orange acrylic. Again, you do need a CO2 laser if you want to cut colored acrylics or some of the glittery ones, just because of just the science of how these laser machines work. But anyway, this is that main laser that I use for most of these projects, but this is just one laser. You do see all that debris that's left behind. So it really is important after each project you clear out the tray. I remove the tray and I throw away all the little bits. Anything that's left behind could cause flame. So that's just one common sense thing to do. All right, so here is the S1. This is the xTool S1. This is a diode laser. It's using a 20-watt head right now. This one has the capability of having an interchangeable head. You can move to a 10-watt or a 40-watt diode. There even is an infrared that allows you to engrave on metal. So it's a great new option that's a lot more affordable for folks. But here you can just see it. I'm just cutting it out, in and out, in and out. It already has the double stick tape on it, cutting, removing, and it's that simple. So again, if you're new to lasers, it's pretty quick. You make quick work of it. But this in particular one, the Eagles, that had lots of layers. That had 11 layers. Here's a cool little nautical compass, northwest, fun one. Anyway, lots of possibilities. So when you use wood and you cut on the laser, sometimes there's some burnout or some flash burning. And so I like to just sand it after the fact. You could add a layer ahead of time. There's some other options to remove that, but I like to just sand a little bit after the fact. Here I'm staining some of the basswood. So like I mentioned earlier, I have stained ahead of time, pre-laser and after the fact. Just make sure that it cures. I usually use oil-based stain, so obviously you do not want that to be wet when it goes in your laser. But anyway, easy this way as well, just to add some different colors. It's a more affordable option. Of course, paint is a great option, very affordable, works for basswood. If you're cutting MDF, get all those layers. It's pretty straightforward. It's rattle can spray paint, right? So just add your colors. Usually I just go with one good thick coat. Sometimes I'll spray them ahead of time like this. On some pieces, I layer them together first and then I spray. Like right here, you can see some of these signs get a clear coat after the fact. Some of them I did individually. So just a clear coat, any clear coat, lacquer works great. My favorites I'll link down below. But these are the ones with the natural colors. You can really see those colors coming out. So just how do you attach these pieces all together? So when you have something like this, which is 11 layers and they're so intricate, like most of these layered effects signs are, you could use the traditional method. Now I use CA glue, super glue. I use it in a ton of my laser projects. You just use some activator or accelerator and it instantly cures. I use it a lot. Actually, I think I even used it a little bit on this one. But when I'm doing all these thin, intricate ones, there's inevitably some glue squeeze out, even if you use those micro tips. And so it can just kind of make a mess everywhere, and it's just not efficient when you're doing layer after layer after layer. So one of the best options that laser users have been using forever is double stick tape. Now you can buy these in pre-cut sheets. I've bought them quite a few times in just like 12 by 12 pre-cut sheets. I'll link down the ones that I've used in the past. But with this project, I was doing a ton of these layered pieces, and I knew that I was going to be doing so many layers, so I went ahead and got the full roll. Now this one's 3M. Most laser users I know, they love 3M, their product, and so this is the 467MP if you're curious. If you have other methods or ways, please leave a comment down below, some other tips to help the community. But when I was doing this roll, the thing is it's so sticky, and I'm used to using the sheets where I just cut it on a paper cutter both sides. But this one on the roll, you peel it up and like this is already sticky. And so I just made this super simple little box, plywood screws. I didn't even make it fancy woodworking wise, just for all you folks who aren't woodworkers. I just had some PVC pipe to run through, a screw to hold it in place. There's other options for this that I had considered. The thing is, with this stuff, it's so thick. I didn't know if it would rip like on a paper cutter. So you could do something like this, where you use for craft paper to tear. I just didn't know that it would cut as much. You could, add like a hacksaw blade on it, or, like someone on another video, talked about the little metal strip on the foil. That's an option. What I did was just buy these. I think they came in a 4-pack for like $5, something like that. These are just the saran wrap, plastic wrap cutters. And so you just take your sheet and measure my size. I'll go about yay big. And of course, I'm doing this live. And then it just cuts like that, right? And then I take my sheet and I put it down. If I was really doing this, I would go grab my scraper just to make sure it's perfectly flat. You don't want any air bubbles, any air pockets when you run with this, then it could potentially cause flame. But once you have it on one side, then you can put it in your machine and run it. So on all of these pieces, both the acrylic, the wood, the basswood, the ones I stained, they already got one of these double stick sheets ahead of time. So then when I cut it, easy, just peel off the back. Everything goes into place. Perfect. You don't see drip glue squeeze out, and it's just so much more efficient and fast. So a little pricey to get a full roll like this. I'll leave a link to where I got this one, but you can certainly do the sheets. So some things to consider when doing these projects. All right, so actually adding the layers together, it's really straightforward. So you just remove that backing and you layer up. It's that simple. I do find that I need to use tweezers a fair amount, just for those intricate little pieces. It does come off fairly easy. This one right here, you can see these are the hardwood ones. And so sometimes when you have that backer on, you didn't account for the fact that it needs a little bit more power than your normal settings to cut through not just the wood, but also the adhesive. And on that particular piece, the Babinga, it just is a harder wood species that I know. So I should have had it a little bit slower. But sometimes you might experience that with plywood. It doesn't cut through all of your layers. That's because some plywoods have a lot of glue in them. And so you cut your machine, you use your cutter and it didn't cut through. Instead of scrapping the piece, you can just use an X-Acto knife on the back to cut it on out. But again, here you just see all these different layers, me just attaching all the pieces. It's peel and stick, peel and stick. It's actually pretty fun. Get your kids involved. So all three of my boys love helping out in different ways, or at least like giving me ideas for new signs. Here's my youngest. He's just helping, throwing away the little scraps. Very, very helpful, but pretty straightforward. Get a pretty cool sign like this mountain lion, this cougar. This is a pretty cool one. So I went ahead on this one. I left double stick tape on the back on this one. Normally that would just be wood, but if you are planning on attaching it somewhere permanently, you could have it there. This isn't like a normal thing. You could remove it very easily. So if you're going to keep it on the back, just think that through first, but that's another option. But it's really straightforward. It makes such a difference here. 11 layers. There's some signs that are even more layered than this eagle mandala effect. Some really cool options out there. But here you just get a taste for what you can do with a laser cutter, some of these different ideas. Hopefully this gives some inspiration, some ideas. Lots of these, again, all of these I just found from files on Etsy. So please leave a comment down below if you have other sources of places to find them. But some really cool options out there, and it's super fun. Make great gifts, cool art. You can personalize these further as well. And there you have it, layered laser art. If this video provided value for you, please consider subscribing to see more videos like this. Lots of other laser projects, so laser cutting, laser engraving, all kinds of materials using different machines. So lots of possibilities. You can check out the channel, more coming. If you are interested in purchasing a laser, if you want to upgrade to the different lasers, check out the links down below. There's always some great deals. Obviously, I love xTool. I've been working with them for quite some time. Only work with them. Like, I'm exclusively working with xTool. Lots of other companies reach out on the regular, but there's just nothing like the user base for xTool. So many other users. The Facebook groups are super helpful. So many materials and attachments that work with all their machines. Free software. It really is a great plug and play, get going with lasers. So if you're interested in buying, you can use this QR code. A small portion of each sale does come back to us to support the channel, so we appreciate that. Don't feel compelled to, but if you're gonna buy, might as well. Anyway, lots of fun. So much fun here. And if you're just getting started with lasers, you could definitely get one of, like, a starter machine. Getting that S1 with maybe just like the 10 watt or the 20 watt like I featured, that's a lot more affordable to get into laser work. And then just cut basswood, which you can cut on that machine easily, and you can paint it like this. So that's definitely an entry point. If you want to do more of those acrylics again, looking into the P2, a great option for doing really cool acrylics plug and play. I have a whole video just on acrylics and why those are so awesome, but possibilities galore. More information down below, more laser fun coming. Thank you for watching. Until next time.